week in Black history, all the way back in 1865, President Andrew Johnson announced his Reconstruction program after the Civil War was over. However, Johnson went back on many of his promises made to the former slaves by the recently assassinated Abraham Lincoln. Johnson's Reconstruction program was more favorable to the former slave owners than the slaves, and the Confederate soldiers than it was the ex-slaves. Johnson even opposed granting blacks voting rights. This happened this week in Black history back in 1865. You know, he never finished high school. Wow. This week in Black history, in 1921, citizens of back in Tulsa, Oklahoma, attacked a prosperous black community called the Greenwood District. During the 2 days of rioting that happened that week, they don't know how many people were actually killed. They said anywhere from 35 to 300 were dead by the end of those 2 days. Matter of fact, it ended on June 1st, back in those days. And it was known as the Tulsa Race Massacre. It's considered to this day one of the incidents of one of the leading racial violence in American history. The attackers burned and destroyed more than 35 square blocks of the neighborhood. Even had airplanes fly over and drop bombs. It was one of the wealthiest black communities in the United States at the time. It was known as the Black Wall Street. But it was destroyed in less than a week. There were never any reparations. I think there's only one survivor still alive now. And no one ever went to jail or prison for all the people they killed and everything they destroyed. They put up a little funky plaque. I'm sorry, I said funky in church. I need to go back to Florida and get just a little bit more rest. And go see Dr. Ward, have you kind of get some stuff out of my brain, okay? This week in Black history, I know this really well because this happened in my hometown. Back in 1973, I was a junior in high school. Detroit's WGPR became the nation's first black-owned television station, Channel 62. It was granted a license to operate in 73, but did not actually go on the air until September of 75. The station continued to carry out the vision of its founder, William Banks, who is on the far left, and it kept going for 2 decades, about 21 years. He died in 85, and the station was eventually sold to CBS 10 years after that. Now, I was in that station before, right on Jefferson Boulevard. Today it's a museum. There is no black-owned TV station in Detroit, but I remember that. Mr. Banks had to raise all the money to go on the air. And what he did, he got invited, this is great, he got invited to the White House, and some other black businessmen, by Richard Nixon. He was the president, and they were talking about, we're going to do more for blacks and blah, blah, blah. So he brought up, there's a station coming available, a license becoming available in Detroit called 62. We believe black folks should own it. Wow. He said it out loud, and Nixon said, we're going to do that. He stuck on, and I give Richard Nixon all the credit. He gave him the license. Didn't give him no money, but he gave him the license. And so Mr. Banks and them, they raised the money, and 62 was great for a long time. How many of y'all know we need to own something else? Yeah. We don't own BET. We haven't owned it for years, decades. That's why it became what it is. Okay, these are things that we found out today about Black history. Give yourselves a hand for being more educated and being more encouraged.